This is Group 1's presentation, IKE Countdown to D-Day. Part of the group, we had Josh, Brooke, Jack, Anthony, Derek, and Lynn. The A&E made-for-TV movie IKE Countdown to D-Day cast light on the key decisions that led to the largest coordinated military assault ever conceived during modern warfare. In doing so, it also provides candid portraits of the deciders themselves and insight into their characters and motivations as they try and piece together the Normandy invasion with sometimes competing priorities. This presentation examines 3 of those deciders and their contributions to the overall success of the Allies' plan. The generals Eisenhower, Montgomery, and Patton all had strong personalities and were excellent leaders in their own right, but none were without flaw. Enclosed is an analysis of the leadership actions of these 3 influential men, both light and shadow. The shadows that we chose for these leaders were power, inconsistency, mismanaged information, privilege, and irresponsibility. Our text states power is the foundation for influence attempts. IKE shined in the light side of power instead of the dark or shadow. The 5 power bases are coercive, reward, legitimate, expert, and referent. IKE thrived from the 5 power bases or sources. First one is coercive. IKE relieved General Miller, reduced his rank, and sent him home. Second one is reward. IKE tangibly earned trust, praise, and cooperation from his support staff. The third one is legitimate. IKE was appointed as the Supreme Allied Commander. The fourth one is expert. IKE was a professional soldier and leader who made sound decisions. And the last one, or fifth one, is referent. IKE was admired and seen as a role model. Diverse followers, varying levels of relationships and elements of situations make consistency an ethical burden for leadership. IKE demonstrated the shadow of inconsistency by keeping Patton on board despite his racial comments and his behavior with soldiers. However, he relieved General Miller for his loose lips during dinner at a busy restaurant. The text describes the shadow of inconsistency as a variety of constituencies, each with its own set of abilities, needs, and interests that leaders face. In particular, the shadow of inconsistency deals with leader-followers exchange. This exchange breaks down the leader exchange further into in-group and out-group. Members of the in-group become the leader's advisors, assistants, and lieutenants. High levels of trust, mutual influence, and support characterize their exchanges with the leader. Members of the out-group are expected to carry out the basic requirements of their jobs. In the following clip, General Montgomery demonstrates the shadow of inconsistency in terms of in-group and out-group. General Montgomery attempts to explain why he belongs as part of the in-group, more specifically, the Supreme Commander. Listen as General Montgomery tries to justify his popularity in order to create buy-in to be part of the in-group.
Very popular with the men. Irrelevant. Properly disciplined soldiers fight at the leader's command, whoever that might be. My victories against Rommel that brought us back to North Africa weren't won because I was popular with the ordinary ranks.
Despite General Montgomery's best attempt to become part of the in-group, General Montgomery becomes a member of the out-group. Once again, the text states, members of the out-group are expected to carry out the basic requirements of their job. General Montgomery has a high level of trust and mutual influence, which is demonstrated when General Montgomery addresses General Eisenhower about his smoking. General Montgomery explains how smoking is a bad habit in my opinion, never been permitted in my HQ. However, in the following clip, General Montgomery becomes a member of the out-group when royalty arrive in his HQ, and thus smoking becomes permitted.
Point of principle, old man. That have, in my opinion, never been permitted in my HQ.
Shadow of mismanaged information is defined in the text as leaders must be in the information loop in order to carry out their tasks, but possessing knowledge makes life more complicated. Do they reveal that they are in the know? When should they release information and to whom? How much do they tell? Is it ever right for them to lie? In the film, we see General Montgomery discuss the initial attack with General Eisenhower. General Montgomery believes that a single smashing assault would be most effective. However, when Eisenhower states that a broad landing has been approved and will be the first initial attack, General Montgomery states that General Eisenhower is inflexible.
You're the Supreme Commander. The politics are your concern. My interest is the most effective strategy and the tactical moves to support it. A massive invasion will be tipped to Jerry's intelligence. We know that. He'll be ready to defend across a broad front. A slashing blow will be harder for him to concentrate his troops against with any depth.
Unless the German knows where the slashing blow is coming, then, as you put it, with his intelligence alerted.
You're being inflexible.
General Patton, like many leaders, enjoys privileges because of his leadership role, which is expected. In fact, per Johnson, a number of U.S. military officers suffer from rank excess. However, Patton abuses those privileges, and this is evident in the film.
You'll see you now. You gotta keep the helmet on, General? Damn right. Played him like a violin. Ate out of my hand, he did. Drive on.
I think you know why you're here.
More or less. Some craphead politician stateside got pissed at the truth.
That's neither more nor less, George. It's damned ignorant. Anglo-Saxons to rule post-war. What the hell is that?
Patton acts irresponsibly as a leader when he chose to ignore or deny ethical problems and deny duties to followers, per the text. Patton damaged the reason we were fighting World War II, and his actions compromised the duty he owed to his soldiers. The elements of character chosen were reverence, temperance, courage, wisdom and prudence, and justice.
The thing about all the power, Beetle, it isn't the big decisions that weigh heavy. Hell, you can decide to invade Russia at dinner. Pick Waterloo for battle on a whim. It's the details, the small stuff. It's easy to gamble 1,000,000 lives. What's hard is to see how that can hurt one single person. And if you can't keep that straight, well, you'll lose your humanity. It's not about power, sir. It is simply the judicious use of the responsibility you entrusted me with. I remember my first trip to Europe as a young man. I felt blessed to be here, to see it, to touch the origins of my own country that I love so dearly. I hoped one day that all young Americans would have the same opportunity. Now hundreds of thousands will, along with Britons and Canadians and European allies fighting to return home. This kind of visit isn't what I had in mind. But if they do not offer the sacrifice of blood now, we will all pay dearly with added gallons later. So if some must die, is in a worthy cause.
The text describes wisdom as drawing upon knowledge and experience to promote the common good. It also states that prudence is a form of wisdom that enables individuals to discern or select the best course of action in a given situation. In the following video, we will witness a lack of wisdom and prudence from General Montgomery when General Eisenhower is given a horrible weather forecast. General Montgomery quickly gets angry and wants to push the mission as planned despite the weather.
You realize, Group Captain, that this may be the most important weather forecast in history.
I do indeed, sir. Which is why I'd feel a lot more comfortable if I could have another 2 days before committing.
The Admiral can correct me if I'm wrong, but if we don't start moving the men toward the ships in the next 8 hours, we're going to miss the tide, sir.
I'll be damned if I wait until July. The men will go stark raving mad.
According to the text, reverence and humility are critical to preventing executive hubris, a feeling of invincibility that often comes with assuming the top power position in an organization. In the video clip, we will see how General Montgomery addresses a subordinate enlisted officer. Notice a lack of reverence when General Montgomery finds a piece of linen on the enlisted officer's uniform. General Montgomery seems to display hubris and certainly lacks reverence.
Tut. Needlessly timid, if you ask me.
The text states that prudence reveals what situations call for courage or compassion and helps us determine how to act justly. It also states prudent leaders keep in mind the long-term consequences of their choices. Patton displays a lack of wisdom and prudence in his choice of actions and words throughout the movie. The text states reverence is the capacity to feel a sense of awe, respect, and even shame when appropriate. As referenced before, reverence and humility are critical to preventing executive hubris. Leaders who display executive hubris possess a highly inflated view of themselves. They also believe that they are superior to the rest of humanity and that the normal rules and laws don't apply to them because of their lofty positions. Patton lacks the components of justice. Ethical climate is best understood as part of an organization's culture. In the text, Victor and Colin identify 5 primary types that the headquarters displayed. The first type is instrumental climates. They follow the principle of ethical egotism. Based on selfish interests that serve an individual or group, the HQ was made up of allied forces from different countries, of different military services of Navy, Air Force, Army, and each had their own interests invested in the decisions for Operation Overlord or D-Day. Number 2, caring climates emphasize concern or care for others. This was not strongly displayed in the movie. However, each person in the headquarters was part of a team, and Ike even stated that the Allied forces was a team. Each team member was concerned for all affected by his unparalleled military mission to defeat Germany. Law and order climates. Driven by external criteria such as professional codes of conduct, the HQ was made up of high commanding military servicemen who abided by military order, conduct, and bearing as displayed in their addressing of each other by rank and where they sat at the table. Rules climate are governed by policies, rules, and procedures developed in an organization. Again, the HQ, being military-driven, followed standard operating procedures as displayed when Ike issued orders to his chief of staff and to his support staff. And the last one, independence climate. Give members wide latitude to make their own decisions. Ike provided commanders guidance with the goal of defeating Germany. The military is designed so that each commander at various levels will give their own guidance within the guidance provided. The contributions our leaders had to the ethical climate were trust, social responsibility, and humility. Throughout the movie, Ike had several personal interactions with his support staff. In his meetings, he seemed genuine and communicated effectively. This all created a sense of trust in Ike. In the movie, Ike was genuinely concerned about the soldiers and citizens of not just the United States, but also of Great Britain, Canada, and essentially all the Allied forces to include the Jews. He realized the gravity of his decisions and did not forget about the family and friends of the servicemen and women fighting in this war.
So is using German troop movements to push your plan for a dagger thrust again.
Despite his various accomplishments, General Montgomery displays a lack of humility towards his enemies. In terms of the text, humility has a powerful impact on ethical behavior. Humble leaders are less likely to be corrupted by power, claim excessive privileges, engage in fraud, abuse followers, and pursue selfish goals. As we will witness in the video clip, General Montgomery demonstrates a lack of respect for his enemy and their tactics because he has bested them once before.
Of the enemy's 60 divisions in France, 10 are armored, commanded by Erwin Rommel. As you know, I faced him in the desert and bested him.
Patton wasn't trusted. I acknowledged this when he referred to how the General Marshal entrusted him to decide Patton's fate. Also, Ike acknowledged this when he kept Patton commanding the fake army as a decoy and kept him out of the HQ and out of the way of the other commanding officers making the decisions for D-Day. Patton acted as if he possessed humility when he pled with Ike, but his actions before and after did not support that this encounter was authentic. Humility prevents hubris and the disdainful treatment of outsiders. The Allied headquarters was so focused on results that they tolerate wrongdoing if it achieves their objectives. Patton acted selfishly and unethically, but he wasn't sent back home because, as Ike put it, once we get them ashore, we'll need him to command real tanks.
You understand?
Sir, yes, sir, I understand completely. I do, Ike, I swear I do. When I don't get all stuffy. I promise. I swear, I promise. Just please. Don't send me